Hey everybody, and welcome back to another 30 days of Galactics. This is a light code from my Galactic light codes for Sabrina. Sabrina is a fox-humanoid, I guess you would call her. She's from one of the Canis constellations, Canis Minor, I think. And Sabrina is a being who looks like a fox. That, I mean, the biggest thing I can say is those, what are they called? The furries, the people who dress up in the animal costumes. If you see people dressed up like standing upright as foxes and stuff, they look like that. Just, you know, foxes standing upright is the only way I can really explain it. There's no difference other than they have fingers and toes and that sort of thing, and kind of a blend. Fur all over their body, orange fur, the white, you know, some of the white chests and that. They still have whiskers, big ears. And Sabrina surprised me because she was what I would call a teenager. So on her world, she was what we would equate to that type of age level. And she connected with me through working on her own spirituality, her own consciousness. She was able to connect to me, and I don't remember how we were connected, if it was through guides or somehow randomly, but she came and I was talking to her, very delightful energy, very happy energy. And it was interesting because I was in a period where I was waiting. I was waiting a long time, and this was only even just a few months ago. I think this was December when I talked to her. It's April now, so a little more than a few months, but I was in a period of waiting in December, and that period of waiting continued forward for a few months and got very difficult, and it was like dominoes falling and things trying to fall into place before I could get to the thing that shifted me the most. What was interesting is that Sabrina was holding these objects. The only description I have for them that we have an example of in our world are jacks. Now, a lot of you may not be familiar with jacks, because jacks are, they're a game, a toy that is usually with older generations. So, I mean, this is a game that you would play in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that type of thing. I don't remember how you play the game. It's like these little pieces of metal that kind of are, I don't know, like if you imagine a pyramid, but without the outside edges, the points are balls of the pyramid, and there's lines connecting them to the middle, and that's the metal piece, if that helps. I don't have a thing to explain it, but if you don't understand what they are, look them up online. You'd throw the jacks down, and then, if I remember right, people would take a ball and like throw the ball at it, and you gain points. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I don't even know if they make them anymore. They still make those, but she had these objects like those, but they were pieces of metal, and they were all different shapes, kind of had the ball and points of a jack, and they were shapes like, you know, you'd have like an L, but then it would branch off and create another L, or you have triangles, there were circular shapes, there were spirals, there were all kinds of different things, and each one of these was like a rune. So in the sense of reading, they would use them as a reading oracle tool, and they would throw them down, and every shape, depending on the point it landed on, the position it landed in, it all had different meanings. And she was learning how to read all this stuff. So she was sitting there playing with this. We're having a conversation, talking a little bit about her, what she's doing, and how and how I was surprised because this was one of my first experiences of somebody who was non-human, first of all. So I've met a lot of humans who are kind of consciously working on themselves that are on other planets, but this was a non-human that was working on her consciousness to raise and shift and become more aware. And so it was one of my first experiences with that, and she was holding these jacks, like spinning them, I remember her laying on the, and it's so funny because they move and position themselves like us too. So if you've seen any preteen movie, any teenage movie with girls, and they're laying on the ground and they got their heads like this in their hands and their legs are back and they're crossed and they're kind of like moving their feet in the air. This is exactly what she was doing. It was literally straight out of a, you know, human teenager scene type of thing. And she's talking to me and spinning these objects, and I just keep seeing them spin. Finally I go, okay, what are those? I can see you there spinning those. What is this thing that you're doing? And she goes, oh, I'm learning how to read them. And I went, wait, you're not like tapped into your intuition? And she goes, no, I'm learning, I'm embracing it, I'm opening it up. We're not as connected as people think we are. Some of it has to be relearned when on these other worlds. It's a very good awareness that Earth is not the only planet where people have forgotten things, and it's also not the only place where people are learning. A lot of these places, I think there's this idea that has been promoted that you come to Earth and you forget everything so that you can relearn it, and that it's only Earth. It's not only Earth. You go to other planets and you have to learn things and do them. Otherwise, if you can't learn things, you're not growing, you're not, you know, developing, and spiritually you're not developing either. So she's working on learning how to read oracle, trust her intuition, do these different things. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, do you want to do a reading for me type of thing? And she was super excited. So first of all, I don't let people read me. It's even my friend, like I called my friend after this experience, and she goes, wait, you let her read you? Like you gave permission for that? And I went, yeah, I gave her permission. And she's like, you don't give anybody permission to do that. Only that friend that I have is really allowed to read me, and everybody else I keep my energy shielded and I'm like, stay away, you know. And it's because when people read me, it's just one, they don't like what they hear. Two, there's an accuracy issue where my intuition is generally more accurate than what the readers are giving me. And so for years, my guides were very much like, do not let people read you, because it creates confusion within me and it creates confusion within them. And it's this whole idea of being on different vibrational levels, different realities and that sort of thing. So I went, yeah, go ahead and read me. Like you're an ET, you're a galactic. I'm gonna wait for this plane to pass here for a second. I'm by the airport, so I don't know how bad the planes are when they're coming through the audio. Hopefully they're not too loud. At least I think I'm by the airport because there's so much plane traffic. So I go, yeah, go ahead, read me. She takes those things and she throws them out. And now she doesn't know anything about me. We've just met. I haven't told her about what's going on in my life or anything. She throws them out and they create this like line, and then they kind of create a straight line, and then they like spray out, I guess, like a Y maybe, but a little more hectic than 3 lines. Like it's like a straight line and it goes, and then there's a bunch of stuff. And so she's like, oh, this is really cool, and starts explaining to me how she's reading them. And I go, oh, it's like dominoes falling, because she's literally telling me, you're in this like waiting period of your life. You're trying to wait for this thing, and you literally can't do anything because there's a straight line, and it has to, this one has to fall, this one has to fall, this one has to fall, and you just can't do anything. You can't do anything about it. You can't force anything. You can't create anything. You can't go about doing anything to shift it, because you literally have to wait for all these steps to occur. And then once it gets to the final step, it's like everything's open and free, and you can do whatever you want. So literally my life from December to what, April 1st, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally the last domino fell, and now I'm living on the road and all of this. And in that moment, I knew she was right too. I explained to her some of the things I was going through, what I knew, which was super validating to her, and just built kind of a quick friendship. I haven't really talked to her since. When I did this code, I did this code for her, and then I'll probably talk to her again and stuff in time. These fire ants. I don't know if that's a message for anybody, but I also have fire ants here at camp, and if you put your feet on the ground, they bite you. So Sabrina is a canine humanoid being who I'm hoping to talk to again, because she is a great example of Galactics not... My guys are saying the best way to say it is some Galactics don't have it all together the way humans think they do. And that's a very, very big lesson and awareness for people to remember, that just because they're from space doesn't mean they're higher on the ascension path or higher in their spiritual enlightenment and in their heart space than humans. A lot of them are learning, a lot of them are still shifting, and it depends on the species, the planet, the area in which they live, and the energies they can receive, and the lessons they have to learn, the karma lessons, those types of things. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, that was Sabrina. There she is. This is a light code, and I want to show this a little bit longer, so if you stare at that, you might even feel some of those beings. These light codes are designed to activate people, and they will be in my next oracle deck as well. So thank you, everybody. Grateful for each and every one of you. Love you all.